Good evening. This is Arlene Wilson, Master Gardener with Yates County Cooperative Extension. And I'm here to do another episode sharing how my garden grows. So we're going to see a couple of things today, how some plants are doing, some strategies on pruning, and also I'm going to share the idea of deadheading my roses. So we're going to start with the deadheading. So we're going to head over here. Here's my rose garden in front of the vegetable garden. So as you can see, the roses are done blooming. And so the concept of deadheading is literally you're removing those flower heads. And so you just cut past that first stem, even a little farther. So I'm going to cut so I get a good amount of flower and stem. Just collect those. And I also cut back with roses. They do like to talk to you. Well, they like to bite you. So I cut those so I get less of that. And then I go in deep because now, since we are past good food for the pollinators, we want to get these dead flowers out of the way so the main plant can still collect sun. And now this plant is going to serve as a shade barrier for some other parts of the garden. And so we're going to go through and cut them down. And if we get them right above a junction, right below a junction, there's a good chance with watering and attention that we could get another blooming of flowers. So I am going to cut them a little low and hope next couple of weeks we do get some new buds and some new blossoms. So we'll do this one last section right there. And if you're ambitious, any flower with a nice scent, you can pull the leaves off and you can dry them either in the sun, let them dry naturally, and you can make your own potpourri. So that is an option with those as well. Then we're just going to take another walk through the garden and look at how some of our plants are doing. And so this is the time you really want to make sure that you've got space. So this one, yay, is starting to come together. All right. So these are green grillers. So they're a different hybrid cucumber. And you can see right from the flower, the fruit grows. So that was the purpose of the rose bush, to help attract pollinators. And we have at least one pollination and one fruit. Hurrah! So we're going to go over here. And we have tomatoes in the tomato cage. And you see we have a couple baby tomatoes under here growing nicely. And you'll see this tomato receives support from the cage. And so right around the edges, it gets to lean. So you want to make sure as the leaves and the branches grow that they're on the inside of the cage where you can, so they'll have that support. Now, once I cut down the rest of these rose bushes a little lower, then these are the watermelon. So I have 3 watermelon plants. These are sugar babies, little round ones, so they do pretty good in New York. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to thwart my little critters, my chipmunks and squirrel, and I'm going to let these trellis in between the rose bushes with the thorns. And so I don't like thorns, and neither do squirrels and chipmunks nor raccoons. So it's a safe way to help grow the garden. Then over here is another squash plant that's coming up, and it isn't quite ready to run, but what I'm going to do is move this stake and carefully, gently, stealthily, carefully, did I say careful? Make sure I put those stakes in, but I don't perforate the leaves, so that as it grows, it can use this tomato cage as a support frame. Now this one is taking a bit of a beating. It gets the most of the sun. Poor baby. But you're still hanging in there. So you'll see this one has one baby tomato. That's good. And the leaves are a little curly. I hope it's not getting disease. But in the meantime, I'm going to try and gently put it on top of this cage so we'll have a little more support. So at this time of year, you want to make sure now, as your tomatoes particularly are starting to have fruit, the leaves help with photosynthesis and take the water in the sun, make plant food, feed the plant. Wonderful. The other thing they do is they provide shade. So you want to make sure when you start thinking about pruning some of the excess leaves, right now we got fruit. Your tomato plants, they like shade. And if they're not in the shade, they'll burn. And you don't want those scars on them, look like scabs. And that's just from too much direct sun. So as you see, if you step away, you can't really see the tomatoes because it's in the shade. Where the new blossoms are, these are going to be the next set of baby tomatoes. So you see it's above the cage. So here's where Arlene starts using some of her local resources. If you see some sticks in the backyard, and I'm going to extend the height of this cage with some sticks, some branches, and kind of create another level for the plant. I'm not going to let it go too high. It's not going to go above my hand. So some tomatoes will just keep growing and growing. And I've had one that got up to 10 feet high. I was so impressed until I learned from one of the cooperative extension agents, Judd Reed, who's a vegetable specialist, told me, well, it gets high, but you notice you don't have too many blossoms and you don't have too much fruit. That's because all the energy went into making the plant green and did not go into bearing fruit. So there's another little junction happening here. There's a junction happening here. So I'm not going to let it get too much taller than this second ridge of siding here on the house. And then I'm just going to pinch off the tops just enough so the fruit will be shaded by some leaves, but not enough that it gets out of control and takes away from the nutrients. Now over here, I threw down some seeds for some okra. So I'm hoping and hopeful that will continue to rally and we will have okra growing in a couple of weeks. It was a tough start for my basil, but they are finally starting to come along, and they're starting to get a little bit height. And these again are some more squash. They're trying to fill out. But what you want to see with your squash family, your cucumbers, your eggplant, all of those, this is what you want to see. These are the little magic tendrils. These mean they're getting ready to run. And so I'm going to train it to run over here and run up this cage. That's the plan. These ones over here also have some tendrils. So I'm going to gently, carefully, gently, carefully. Did I say carefully? And gently wrap that around the cage. Encourage it to run. This one doesn't have tendrils. These two don't yet, but they're coming around. Here's my happy eggplant, and there's a moth. We're kind of at twilight, and moths are also pollinators. So go on, make yourself to home, make yourself to home. These are the beans. You got little bean flowers, and we got little bean plants that are starting to come. So we got a couple right there. See if you can see that. Right there. Let me move you. Right there. Yay, so we got some beans coming. I'm really excited. It's the first time I've done beans. So I'll probably get a little stick and stake those up, give them a little support as well. But right now they're doing well. So go ahead, pollinate, be happy. And then we have my cherry tomatoes back here. And again, they're in a good spot. They're getting some shade right here, kind of in the back. They get the morning warmth of the morning sun, but they don't get the heat. So we're going to have a nice little cropping of cherry tomatoes probably in the next week or so. So I'm very excited about that. Very excited. And these are some think these are elm tree saplings, and I was going to take them out, but this might be a good berry to keep cats and rabbits out. There's a rabbit in this hedgerow. I only see when I come out at night if I'm coming home late from work. But he always finds my garden. But I can have some barriers in there. It tends to keep him away. So I've got a couple of dead rose canes there. Some rose stems I let dry out. And I put a bunch there. So there's some over here and there's some over there. And that makes a nice little surprise for little animals that come in and want to get in my garden. I work very hard in my garden. They can't have any. So, also, it's been so hot. So, phew, first time we got a little shade at the end of the day. So, make sure you have a good sun hat if you go out. This is a great time of night, time of day. It's still light to water, so I'm probably going to give my garden a little watering tonight. And I'll probably hit it again before I go to work in the morning. Hopefully I'll get up 6:37 and give it a little watering. So, that's the updates on the garden. So I'm going to continue deadheading and then watering and then call it a night. So Arlene Wilson, Master Gardener, Yates County Cooperative Extension. Stay cool, stay hydrated, get a sun hat. Take care. Bye-bye.